Happy Wednesday, all you cool cats and kittens. Remember that? I just popped into my brain as I was kicking this off. This is your Wednesday live chat. I'm here for as long as we need to be. We will talk fantasy golf. We will talk the American Express. We'll do ownership pivots. We will chat one and done. I'm sure outright bets will come up at some portion. We will do a live underdog best ball draft or two. We will run custom models. We will do it all. And it's really your time. So go ahead and hit the like button. I never say that. Drop your questions, comments, and concerns into the chat. We will go through as many of those as possible. Before we jump into your questions, concerns, and comments, let me just knock a couple of items right out of the gate. The questions are going to come. 1, what does the weather look like? 2, what golf course do you want to start on? Let's do the weather first. This is La Quinta. It is dome golf. It is a desert with very little wind this time of year. The conditions are almost always ideal for this tournament. Mid to upper 70s with wind anywhere between 2 and 4 miles an hour. I'm using the weather station that is right next to La Quinta Country Club. A little bit southeast of that is the stadium course right here. You can see it on the map. I will go to a different weather station as if it's going to be any different, just a mile and a half away or whatever it is. But just to cover all of our bases here, here is the actual, this is on the grounds at PGA West, this weather station, and you are seeing exactly the same thing. So there is not a weather edge. There is also not really a wave advantage. There's really no waves because these golfers are playing 3 courses over the first 3 days. Everybody goes out within 2 hours and 10 minutes of one another. There is not a morning wave. There is not an afternoon wave. So we've covered that. Let's also answer the dozen or so questions that will say, hey, Rick, what course do I want my guys to start at? And I believe the best answer for that is it doesn't matter. Okay. You're going to hear things like, oh, in 7 of the last 10 years, the winner played the stadium course on Saturday. Yeah, they do that for television. All the best players, Patrick Cantlay, Scotty Scheffler, Sam Burns, whatever, they're starting on La Quinta so that they can play the stadium course on Saturday and they can have all the cameras there. So that's like saying in 7 of the last 11 years, I'm making that part up, the best players are winning the golf tournament. Like, yeah, no real surprise there. So unless someone has evidence that that normalizes that for each player's baseline or whatever it is, it's very, very noisy stuff. I don't believe it to be all that valuable and all that interesting. Play your guys, play them wherever. It is 3 single round sprints, and then they're going to go to the final round at the stadium course, and whoever is going to make the most birdies is going to win this thing. All right, here we go. Riley out of the gate says, Rick, thanks for all that you do. Thank you. I seem to be able to grab Willie Z round 6 or 7 in best ball. Is that good value or no? So we will do a lot of best ball content. I've done a lot of best ball content already. We will continue to do that. The season on Underdog starts at the Phoenix Open. So we have a couple more weeks, but it is getting close. Round 6 or 7 feels fine. I have seen Will Zalatoris go in round 2. I've seen Will Zalatoris go in round 3, right? So if you're getting him in 6 or 7, I think he's weeks away from being in shape, right? I mean, the putter's not good. The long game's not good. This swing change might take a really long time. I think that he's weeks away. The good news is you have weeks. And if he does, even if it's May and he starts to play as a top 10 player in the world again, you're in round 3 or 4, and you're getting a brand new top 10 player for the stretch run. So I think it's worth a shot. We'll talk a lot more about best ball later. There's a link in the description. You can get a deposit match. You can go sign up. You can get your draft stuff in right now. Wow. We are really in a American Express when the second question of the day is, can we get a deep dive on Patrick Fishburne? 8.5% projected ownership seems wild. Also, your top 3 or 4 Korn Ferry guys competing feels like 1 or 2 of those will be needed to take down a big GPP this week. So here is Patrick Fishburne. He has essentially gained strokes to the field. It'd probably be easier if I showed you my screen. In almost every event that he's played on the Corn Ferry Tour, right? He won in July. That was the Envy Invitational. He has a bunch of top 20s since then. He's a very good player. He had a very good season last year. When you combine him with some of the other guys that I think are interesting, Jake Knapp, Ben Coles is always interesting. Jimmy Stanger is interesting. Norman Zhang is high risk, high reward. Those are the first couple of names that come off the top of the head to me. How would you feel if Nico Echeverria was your last guy in? Probably not great. It was an okay, I guess you could say, an okay Hawaiian swing for him, where he was slightly above average at the Century, slightly below average at the Sony, though he did make the cut. But that's actually some of his better results. I mean, his end of year and into the fall was just not good. Essentially everything after the win, everything even before the win wasn't very good. So really, when he snapped off and won the Puerto Rico Open, it feels a lot like when Michael Kim did that, right? Remember when Michael Kim missed like 15 cuts in a row, won, and then missed like 27 more cuts? Michael Kim's much better and much more consistent now, but like this is kind of cut from that same cloth. Deep dive on Joel Dahmen. It looks like he's been good on approach and bad with his putter. For a 3-course rotation, does that help or hinder the good/bad putters by giving different putting surfaces for each round? Ooh, interesting. So you're kind of getting into like the memory of it all, right? You know, being able to play the 6th hole 3 days in a row and understand what those undulations do. That's kind of interesting. I don't know the answer to that question. The deep dive on Joel Dahmen is pretty similar to what you illustrated. You know, he is accurate off the tee. He's a good ball striker, even though he lost that at the end of, or the second half of 2023. He's back to being a very solid ball striker with putting that would rival mine, though I did putt fairly well this morning. I made a couple of nice ones, snuck a couple in through the side door, all good stuff. So never good to see that Joel Dahmen can lose 6 or 8 strokes putting, but unlike some of his bad putting peers, he has gained in 4 of his last 8. You see guys who routinely lose 4, 5, 6, and they never gain. Joel is capable of that. I don't think it's likely, but he is capable of it, which I think gives him a little nod. I'm like a 5.5 out of 10 on Joel Dahmen for this week. It is desert golf. He plays out of the desert. All that is nice. Any love for Hadwin in one and done this week? Interesting. I've got like 12 one and done entries that I have to put in. And I do believe I have Hadwin in at least one. I might have him in 2. It's very early in the year. I'm just kind of doing a little bit of a scatter shot approach and then starting to see what happens after that. Obviously, his history around here is probably what you're looking at. You know, this is where he carded the 59. This is where he has been a top 5 machine. I'm showing it to you on the screen right now. Just he's been phenomenal, and his play coming in. You see him play well at the Shriners. I think there's enough crossover, not like from a specific golf course angle of it, but Shriners is desert golf in which you need to go really, really low. And there's a pretty decent crossover of guys that play well at this event, play well at Shriners, and then play well in some of like the other deserty situations. So I think Hadwin is fine. This is probably the last place you'd ever consider playing him. It's very early in the year, and I'm just scattering around. So I do have him in 1 or 2. Hey, Rick, love all the work. Thank you. I'm visiting my parents out in Henderson this weekend and looking to place a few golf wagers. Any idea on books in Vegas that have the most options for golf futures? Certain Circa has them up. If they don't, ask for them. They'll probably give you a line. And then if not Circa, you know where I would look? And I don't know the answer to this, but there is a new Durango casino it's in the Southwest where it just opened like 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago. I was there for the first time the other day. It's awesome. And the sportsbook is sick. And now the sportsbook is physically cool. I'm not sure about what kind of lines they hang. It's part of that Red Rock family, that station casinos. So it might all be the same, but check those 2 out, and at least you'll have a good time at those two sportsbooks. Looking for 2 long shots to round out my card this week. How would you rank Horschel, Griffin, and Hoagie in terms of outrights? Okay. Let's talk about Ben Griffin. Because I think Ben Griffin, and somebody asked about the kind of the skill set that you need to have a lot of success this week. I believe the combination of approach play and putting is important. You can kind of hit it anywhere as long as you keep it out of the water off the tee. You can kind of hit it anywhere. There's no rough. You've got to throw darts, especially with your wedges. You've got to roll in enough birdies. If you can do those things well, you can have a really hot week. You're trying to catch that lightning in a bottle. When Ben Griffin plays well, those are the two things that he does well, right? I mean, you saw it at Sanderson Farms where he finished second. Even in weeks where he struggles with one, he's usually very good in the other. Again, it's that lightning in a bottle situation. So I think Ben Griffin is very, very live. He should have won. I guess it was the Sanderson Farms, the event that he should have won. Was it that one or was it? Yeah, he lost 3 strokes on Sunday and finished T2. That should have been maybe a little bit of scar tissue, gets back into it and knows what that feeling feels like this time around. Deep dive on Harrison Endicott. Didn't he just win what did he just win? Didn't he just win something? Maybe Monday qualified into something. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. I don't know if I have much thoughts. I don't think I've got a hot take on Endicott here. He looks like a little bit of a whack-a-mole situation. He doesn't have a skill set that is above average long-term. He's below off the tees, below in putting. He's below approach. His around the green play is better than average, but you can see even that can kind of get away from him at times. I find this to be fairly inconsistent and not really exciting. There you go. Mina with the news. She said he won the Q School final to keep his tour card. That's what I was thinking of. Pick 2 from Riley, Toasty, Buckley, Knapp, Bjork, Higo. Yikes. Knapp and Toasty. 2 questions. Thoughts on Billy Ho? Seems to be trending in the right direction, and I'm guessing offers leverage. Any golfers stick out as priced better on FanDuel compared to DraftKings? I don't play on FanDuel, so I don't know the answer to that. Not because I think DraftKings is like the greatest thing since sliced bread. I mean, I think they do a good job, but I do not like the way that the FanDuel product looks. I don't know. It rubs me the wrong way. So I tried to get in on Billy. I want to say at Alfred Dunhill because I agreed with the assessment that it is definitely trending in the right direction. I mean, remember when he got emotional and the game was just garbage for most of the summer? Look at what he's done since the 3M Open. He's gained across the board in every stat category almost every single week, right? And that includes some of the European Tour events, which I have the strokes gain metrics for, rickrungood.com. Shameless plug. It's a giant data website for fantasy golf and golf betting. I love it. You'll love it too. It's got 6 different tours tracked, all the official information, live leaderboards with Shot Tracker. For this week, I'm making constant updates to it. If you are not signed up, you're probably a Looney Tune. Hello, Rick. First off, appreciate you doing this every week. Cheers. Second, too early for Wyndham Clark. That 40-1 is tempting to me. I'm quite concerned about the Wyndham Clark stuff. Okay, so let's do this. So this to me is not a good stat profile. Hemorrhaging strokes on approach, hemorrhaging with the putter when that was his bread and butter in 2023. The other thing, so right there, the statistical profile is not great. Then you throw in the live rumors, and I don't like to entertain that stuff, but if it is true that he's in negotiations, imagine his head being in a different spot. If it were to come out next week and says Wyndham Clark's going to live, he's going to join Jon Rahm's team, this stat profile would make a hell of a lot of sense because he has just kind of fallen off a cliff and maybe he's distracted. Maybe he's got a lot of other stuff going on. Even without that, I'm worried about him. I'll try to circle back on this one, Mark. I'm not ready to do head-to-heads yet. Can we do a deep dive on Neesmith? Sure. So Matthew Neesmith is here, and I don't think we're going to like what we see. Yeah, we're not. The fall, he just gets on these runs, and then, the fall ends for him, and he can just never find it again. Loses 4.7 off the tee at Sony. I don't even know how that's possible. The putter continues to be an issue. It's actually getting a little bit better, but we need him to be this guy. We need him to be the elite approach player, and that kind of unlocks everything else. Let's call it a 5.5 out of 10. Thoughts on Harry Hall as a flyer? Yes. Sung Jae thoughts. We love the guy, and he's modeling well for me this week. I think Sung Jae's in for a huge year, and I think that could start now. You talk about approach play, you talk about putting, you talk about guys that are underrated and just all out great players. They're also great fantasy producers. You talk about guys that can win in the desert in super easy scoring conditions. Yes. Sung Jae, very good guy. I think he's a great one and done play as well. Is it just Eric Cole time? I hope so. He leads my betting card. So I'll reveal my betting card to you. You should do whatever you want. Don't let me spend your money. I'm not going to spend yours. I have Eric Cole at 35-1. I have Akshay at 65-1. I have Bo Hostler at 90-1. There's only 3 bets I've made this week. I cannot express how good Eric Cole has been in a way that is also a little bit independent of the type of golf course that he's playing. I thought the Century was not going to be good for him. I thought a couple of these places in the fall were not going to be good for him. I thought a couple of these fields were going to outmatch him. I've thought everything, and he just shows up and finishes inside the top 15. There is a time. I think the time is now. The other thing is he is we know the story about the mini tour, but what that breeds is prolific birdie making. It breeds sprinting for one round at a time. There are so many qualifiers and there are so many events that are one round, right? Some of these guys that I work with that don't have status, where they made one mistake on a hole and their week is, it's just like, it's craziness. So Eric Cole is a sprinter, and he's going to get 3 different rounds to sprint, and then he's going to come back to the stadium course and hopefully make a run at this thing. So I'm with you. Here's the segue into the Hostler conversation, because that's the next question, and I've bet him at 90-1. Bo Hostler was like the best player in the fall, and I don't think it was particularly close. When you look at the growth that he has gone through, used to be a sneaky long hitter with a short game that carried him. That is not the case anymore. He is still sneaky long. He still has the great short game, and he has gained multiple strokes ball striking in his last 3. That does not include a runner-up finish. He has gained multiple strokes ball striking in like 7 of 9. Yes, things can certainly go sideways. You can get caught up with the Wyndham Championship and miss the cut, but this is a much better trajectory for Bo Hostler. I mean, you can even see it this is obviously fantasy results, but you can even see it in this graph, the up and to the right trend that Bo Hostler is putting together. After seeing that massive cut parlay floating onto, I didn't see that. I've got the edge. Why does it look so easy? Yeah, I mean, listen, it always looks easy. There's a reason why sports books want you to play parlays. There's a reason why like single game parlays have become the biggest marketing spend and also like the most profitable thing that a sports book can offer. It always looks very, very easy. Good afternoon from snowy Vancouver, Rick. Oh, sorry, Greg. Although snowy Vancouver is probably pretty beautiful. Who's the producer's play of the week? She wasn't ready for that question.
I can't believe I wasn't ready.
She's sitting just off frame here. Who are you going to go with? I can circle back.
Yeah.
All right.
I know who I'm going to take. I have to go find it.
Okay.
I wrote it down.
We'll do one question and then we'll come back to it. What's up, Rick? In your video yesterday on the custom model, I noticed you put 15% on around the green and meant to put it on putting. Yes. I had a couple people point that out to me. My bad. So let's do this. We'll go back to the custom model, which you can see. Look at the ownership numbers changing. A little bit of a run on Ben Coles. A little bit of a run on Jason Day, just a couple of percent. Justin Thomas up 4% since last run. Sam Ryder up 5%. Okay. What was I going to do? Oh, I was going to load the custom model. And then I was going to, what did I call it? I probably called it 20. Crap. I always forget what I name these things. Monday Amex model 2024. Okay. So let's open that and then move that 15 weight from around the green last 36 to putting last 36. I don't know if it's going to change anything. Although I think now, so I think Scotty was number 1 in the last model. Now it's Cantlay Tom Kim. Scotty's 3, Eric Cole 4, Sungjae and Xander 5-6. We rounded out with Poston, EVR, Sam Ryder, and Taylor Pendrith. That's pretty fun. I like that. Ryo Hisatsune 11th, Bill Hostler 13th at 7,800. Minwoo gets knocked here. Justin Thomas gets knocked here. Fowler gets knocked here. Burns gets knocked here. All guys that are in the 9K range that are not modeling as well. Thank you for pointing that out. I did screw that up. Rio or Nap rest of season. What is Rio's status situation? I'd have to look into that because Nap has his tour card, right? From via Corn Ferry. So I'd have to look up whatever Rio's stat situation is or status situation is. Who are we picking?
I forgot who you said, like, oh, if you want to be a Looney Tune, pick this person. I want to say it was Hideki, but I think
no.
You know what I'm talking about?
When I just said it just a couple minutes ago?
No, when you said it in the DFS preview.
I don't remember that.
But anyways, since I'm not doing that, I'll go with Harrison and Endicott.
She's going with Harrison Endicott. Yikes. Has a debutante ever won this event? Thinking about JT. I don't know the answer to that. I would also argue it probably doesn't matter, right? I mean, this is... we are in an era now where it is so easy to get information about golf courses. The learning curve is so much smaller. I don't think it particularly matters other than just something in the record books. I'm bullish on JT for 2024. In theory, this is a wedge fest, but he's going to have to make the putts, right? If JT gains 3 strokes with the putter, probably wins. That's his path to success. Riskier one and done. Burns or Cole? It's got to be Burns, I imagine. Cole's been very, very consistent. Have a meeting soon. So any inside scoop on McNeely? Feel like before the injury in this field, he would have been priced higher. I agree with that statement. I don't have any inside info. I think I mentioned it the other day. I spoke with him briefly a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. It was right before the Sony, I guess. And he was feeling great. He said he was happy to be back kind of at full strength and all that. The stats are not great. He's always been a great putter. The short game's still there. We've got to get the long game figured out. But I agree that, this week, if we see any signs of life, we are going to get him at Pebble Beach in 2 weeks, I believe. Actually, I thought he got an invite. I thought he got an exemption to Pebble. I'm happy to try to be early on McNeely there. Norman Zhang is who Armina wants to go with. So she has picked two guys that are probably 500 to 1.
Okay, I never pick people in like the 10K or the 9K range. That's like low-hanging fruit.
So Vince Whaley is the next question. I am in on Whaley this week. The idea of him being able to just improve back to his baseline after being one of the best putters that we've seen, or one of the best putters all fall, didn't carry that into Waialae. There's a lot of juice to squeeze out of his stat profile. I'm here for Vincent Whaley. All right. Let me run through some of these real quick. Hey, Rick, I love the live leaderboard last week. Any changes to the custom model? No, but what I will show you is the live leaderboard. I just tweeted this out, the shot by shot. Are we calling it the live? We have to decide. Is it the live leaderboard, which is a tool that used to exist on rickrungood.com that this has replaced? I like the idea of calling it a live leaderboard because it is a live leaderboard. And that's terminology that we know. Actually, I bet you that Armina will put it. She's never done this before. She will put a poll in the chat.
Will she?
She will. She'll figure it out. Of if we are calling this the live leaderboard or the event center, or I think those are the two options. Yeah. Because live leaderboard doesn't really reveal that it's like shot by shot, all that stuff. It does have the designations this week, so you'll be able to see which golf course everybody's at, which is really, really nice. So have fun with that, and thank you for the kind words. Two guys between 7,300 and 7,800. This is a super chat, which is not required. Always appreciated, though. So two guys between 73 and 78. This is the cheat sheet, rickrungood.com. I believe my favorites are Hisatsune, Ben Griffin, and Bo Hostler. Honorable mentions, Taylor Pendrith. Honorable mention, Billy Horschel, Davis Thompson. That's the short list. Any idea why Power withdrew? I do not know the answer to that. Early model question. Can you rerun? Okay, I'll circle back on model stuff later. Why is Andy's course preview no longer on the website? Andy is no longer with Rick Rungood. Is JT Poston a safe pick? I think he might be. Let's go look at his profile here. And I think a lot of people would be impressed with how many top 10 finishes that he has piled up. Not only both of the Hawaiian swing, but going back into last year. I mean, since the John Deere, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 top 10 finishes, and that's in like 15 events. The other thing is, we know he can heat up. He just did it on Sunday, but that's also part of his MO. And he has that approach and that putting, the things that work very, very well around this golf course. Gained 7 strokes to the field on Sunday. Pretty good. Pretty good. When I was favoriting golfers on the live leaderboard last week, I wasn't getting them separate up top on the PGA Tour app. I saw your screenshot and yours had that. Am I doing something wrong? I don't know. When I favorite somebody, he goes up top. I don't know. I don't know if you're doing something wrong, John. I think it's very simple, like clicking the star button. If you continue to have issues, email me and like let me know what browser you're using or something like that. But I don't know, man. Seems to be working. Also, Rick Rungood live leaderboard is better than the PGA app. I'll tell you what, I love it. Happy Wednesday. Can you do a deep dive on Suh and his course fit? Yes. I think Suh is pretty live. Desert Golfer plays out of TPC Summerlin. Great putter. That's like a couple of the things that we are going to need this week. Recent form, I mean, it's good enough, right? I mean, it does have to go back to the fall, but he was 10th at Zozo, which is going to be a much better field than this. He was 4th in Mayakoba, where he gained 11 strokes ball striking. Insane. I don't need that. I just need like 7 ball striking, 5 with the putter, and let's go out and win one of these, Justin. So you can see his stat profile over here. Struggles around the green. If you are tapping, if you're getting up and down this week, you're screwed. So I really don't care about that much at all. Is that a Robin Hood hat? I guess kind of technically it's a Sherwood hat, right? So Sherwood Country Club, they have this great logo, which is obviously like reminiscent of Robin Hood. So kind of.
Was live leaderboard or media center?
Event center was the other option. Yeah. Big on fading all high ownership pivots at each range. Okay. So I think there is a pretty good argument to be made that. So a couple things. It is a very volatile. It's a very volatile event. However, despite not winning, guys who are like shorter than 20-1 have gained a stroke per round on average, which is one of the higher outcomes for other tournaments. So I put this in my newsletter this week. Guys that are 20-1 since 2019, 20-1 or shorter, have only had more success at the RBC Canadian Open and the US Open. Sorry, I was way off. It's 2.27 strokes per round, not 1 per round. Now they haven't won as frequently, but it's still pretty good. But anyway, to answer your question, the pivots would be skipping the 10K range. And then it would be like Jason Day, or if you wanted to start your lineups with Tom Kim, Justin Thomas, something like that. Ricky Fowler is low owned, but I do not love that as a pivot off of JT Poston. I'd probably prefer Sam Burns there if I'm going to pivot off of that. The pivot off of Eric Cole is probably Siwoo. The pivot off of Putnam and Steven Yeager for me is probably, oh boy, like Aaron Rye, Taylor Pendrith. It's not a huge pivot, but I think that's a little bit better. The pivot off of Ben Griffin is Justin Suh or Ryo Hisatsune. And then those are probably the guys that are getting a lot of the ownership. I mean, you can see it. It's 20% ownership on every guy in the 10K range. Poston, Eric Cole, Chris Kirk is up there as well. A lot of guys. Too early to play Sung Jae in one and done? No. Rick, I'm leaning towards a Stars and Scrubs. However, struggling between the bottom quartile and intriguing punt play. Okay, so let me just go down to the bottom here. 6K range. If you're looking for punts, I think the punts are Whaley, Harry Hall, Oh boy. Michael Block's in this field, by the way. Boy, this is pretty bad. I don't know if I love this. It's got to be the upper 6Ks. It's got to be like Toasty, Nap, those guys. I mean, getting down here, even looking for guys that are competent in both approach and putting is, I mean, you don't have anybody who's gaining in both of those categories. You don't really have anybody who's got good recent form, good court. Yeah, I mean, I think you got a Damon, I guess, and hope you find a good putting week. It's probably the cheapest I'd feel a little bit comfortable with. Where can I find ownership for one and done? So assuming this is because you're in the like run good golf one and done. So I'll cover two things here because I got a lot of questions about this. I thought I was hopefully making this a little bit easier. So if you go to rungoodgolf.com and underneath rankings, there's a tab called ownership, which you will be able to see where all the ownership is going. If you don't know what division you're in, go to the overall tab, search for your name, click your name, and then you can see what your division badge is. So that one right there is Palm Springs. Okay. So, okay. There's the overall tab. There's ownership. There's historic up in the upper right hand. Okay. So hopefully that helps. Can I do some on-ground reporting for Rick Run Good during the fall swing? Florida swing. I mean, sure. I don't know. What do you want to do? Can you explain why when you increase randomness in the custom model, your expected value goes up significantly? Okay. So there's a lot there. So there is a randomness option here, which you can obviously change. There is I'm assuming you're talking about the value. There is no expected value. The value, well, it's being randomized, right? So if you put 20% of randomness in, that means every time a lineup is run, every golfer's value will be randomized somewhere between negative 20% and 20%. So that means if you have a golfer whose value is 100 and they get randomized up to 120, that would be a pretty significant increase, right? So that's what's happening here. And it's doing that every single time. It can go in both directions. It's a great way to get access to different golfers that you weren't thinking about. It is a great way for you to just kind of spread things out and embrace the volatility and the chaos that is golf. So happy to continue to talk about that, but email me if you want. Was surprised by Alejandro Toasty projected ownership. This type of event seems like a good fit for the spark plug. Yeah, no, listen, I mean, he was the issue was, I think he lost like about 1 billion strokes last week on approach. Let me see what that actual number was. Okay, so he lost 4. I guess the good news is like all of that was in round 3. He was much better in round 4. So we can chalk it up to, hey, it's his first like it's not his first PGA Tour start, but like with a full tour card, maybe that's it. First of the year, and he played better on Sunday. But I agree with you. These guys who are designed to go nuts in birdie fests they go nuts in birdie fests. Given the volatility of this tournament, is fading everyone over 20% a good way to be different? It will certainly make you different, Oliver, for sure. All right, let's get an array of questions here. I know we got to talk about one and done still. We're going to do underdog drafts. I've got an underdog entry that I've tweeted out. I've got that one and done tool. I want to show that. Okay, so answered that. No. Okay. I've spent a lot of time, Joe, talking about Davis Thompson this year. So I'm big in on Davis Thompson and his growth. I do probably prefer Shank a little bit more. It's a little bit more proven, and he's got a lot of upside. Davis Thompson's upside is a little more theoretical. Hey, Rick, recently subscribed to your site and trying to use the model. Thanks. I watched your video on how to use it. In a 20 max entry, I do 10. What is the best parameters to use in your model? Well, I mean, my opinion is, you can go back and see what I did on the Monday show, or, I can kind of scroll through right now, but I'm looking for approach and putting. I'm looking for birdie makers. That type of stuff, really high upside. You can even do the guys who gain 3, 4, 5 strokes to the field more frequently. That's the route I'm going to go with. Talked about those guys already, which is nice. I do believe that Eric Cole's probably still under the radar in some casual stuff. Let's see. I'm going to go to Office Football Pool and look at the site-wide picks, and this will probably tell us right away. Yeah, Eric Cole's 5%, 5.7%. So that's about as casual as it gets, and I'm thinking that that's pretty under the radar. Answered these ownership questions. Talked a lot about Bo Hostler, so I'm going to continue to move on. Oh, I have to do this. It says, are the rankings on the imported CSV fixed? So if you watch my best ball video, the rankings in the cheat sheet, in the spreadsheet, are accurate. The only thing that is wrong in the import is Zalatoris and Ludwig. Ludwig's, I moved up to 12, and Zalatoris, I think, I forget where he's at. But you can make those changes yourself, or I will update that file after this show. Can we see the strokes gained 5+ distribution? Yeah. So this is a tool on the power rankings. If you go to strokes gain distribution and you look at guys that gain 5 or more strokes to the field, I like to move this up to probably more rounds. And this is also going to include Corn Ferry. I could take that out if you want, but let's include it. Jake Knapp gains 5 or more strokes to the field as frequently as Scotty Scheffler does. Now, obviously, Jake Knapp does that on the Corn Ferry Tour. Scotty Scheffler does it on the PGA Tour. Alejandro Tosti is third. Minwoo and Xander are tied. Grayson Murray, Patrick Cantlay, Billy Horschel, Davis Riley. You'll notice guys like Davis Riley, who have this really, really low floor, but really high ceiling, are great for showdown, great for single round stuff. And then if you flip this and kind of look at it the other way, Ryo Hisatsune has a massive floor. 83% of the time he gains strokes to the field, but he rarely goes super, super deep, like 5 under or 5+ strokes gained. So you can kind of see floor and ceiling differences here, which I love about this, and kind of pick out what works best for you. You said earlier that it doesn't matter where the players start. I can see me saying that. It doesn't matter. For first round matchups. I don't think I said that. Oh, but what about first round matchups? Yeah. If 2 golfers are playing a different course, is there an edge anywhere? Okay, that's a completely different story. If you have a matchup where the book has not taken advantage, has matched up people that are playing on different courses, that's jarring. Okay, so in theory, I can just run you through this. So looking at last year's numbers, these are all par 72s. The stadium course played to a 69.2. The Nicklaus tournament course played to a 68.7, 69.2, 68.7. So that's a half a stroke. And La Quinta played to a 69.5. So yes, you would want the guy at the Nicklaus tournament course, or the other two are pretty similar, but you'd want the guy at the Nicklaus tournament course. There's so much weird stuff in here. What did you shoot this morning? And do you have any news on the Joe Mayo drama? I shot an 85. I don't ever say this because I usually just take it for what it is. I thought I was very unlucky this morning. I thought I played a lot better than an 85. I do not have any news on the Joe Mayo drama. It was just as surprising to me as to everyone else. I will, now that we're on the West Coast swing, we'll hopefully be on the golf course more and be around some people. Maybe I'll find something out. It will be very unlikely that I will be able to share that, but we'll see. Rick, can you give us a kiss? That is bizarre. Let's see what else we got. Have you gone to a golf simulator before? Yes, very much. The new Rick Run Good is amazing. Thank you. Pretty sure the winner is coming from the, okay. So this is a nuanced thing, Victor. And it's really just the last couple of years. Okay. So last 5 years where I've got the odds and all that stuff. I kind of just showed this, so I'll be quick with it. The guys who are shorter than 20-1 play very, very well here. And that is compared to other events as well. The thing is they haven't won as much. And the long shot guys, the really long shot guys have won. So that's really just the nuanced take. What's the strategy in one and done? Choose who you feel is going to win. Pick a possible winner. There are less likely others. Okay, all of the above, Philip. So early in the year, I just kind of do a little scatter shot approach, basically pick the best guy, best couple of guys, and then start playing your position as you get a little bit longer. This is where the Pool Genius tool comes into play and is very, very helpful. I described this last week for the first time. I've collabed with the guys at Pool Genius, which is also Team Rankings. They made that sweet NFL Survivor tool that helps you pick. There's a lot more to come on the one and done one, but I've collabed and consulted on them with this. So Mina and I actually flew to Denver this offseason to help with this. So this will take, so let's just do it. So, I've already put in my parameters of how many entries there are, what the buy-in is, what are the payouts. You put all that stuff in. And then basically what you're able to do is you're able to see rankings for every single golfer, right? And who you should play. And it'll give you kind of recommendations based on the prize purse, future value, all that stuff, right? So the way we read this is, it says right here, you probably want to use a golfer ranked roughly 25 this week, or one who is ranked lower, but with betting market win odds close to golfers in that range. So the reason being, you don't really want to bomb Scotty Scheffler on this purse. So you can see how it has these guys in green and what their betting odds are. And that green is obviously good value, right? So the recommendations here, short list being for me, in my situation, Justin Thomas, Minwoo Lee, Sam Burns, a little bit of JT Poston, right? Because this is looking at future value. It's looking at their odds. It's looking at all that stuff. So it kind of gives you a short list every single week. A lot more is coming to this tool. It's a free trial right now. So it's free trial until the Phoenix Open. So I recommend you go and check this out. There's a link in the description. Plug in your pool, because if you're in a pool with 10 people and a pool with 1,000 people, it's going to be vastly different. And then get your recommendations week in and week out. So that's the big strategy, Philip. I could talk about this for like 900 more years because there's a lot that goes into it, but that will be very, very helpful. The adjusted course fit is wonky because the stadium course is the only course with shot link data. So we don't have a lot of it, and it skews it because the other two courses don't have shot link data. So that's the thing. Oh, wow. I'm getting caught up on these conversations. Okay. It says, are you hiding the years-long FanDuel beef, or is that done? Do I have a years-long FanDuel beef? I thought I had a years-long DraftKings beef. Maybe I have a years-long beef with everybody. I have a beef with FanDuel because their data is hard to get, and I don't like the way that the interface looks. And I had like one so-so conversation with them. That's it. Like years ago. The years-long DraftKings beef is, I asked for I forget what it was. Was it a listener league? Like 3 years ago, I don't even know when it was, years ago. And they kind of big timed me. And I'm like, now just like, that's why when everyone's like, hey, are we gonna have a listener? Like, no, we're not. I'm just holding a grudge. I am playing Survivor Golf. That's fun. Player has to make the cut for you to advance. Can I have 2 sneaky picks you are sure are making the cut this week? No. I mean, listen, like there are no locks, but I would say, I don't know, Norin, Hostler, how sneaky do you want to be? When do we get a Rick versus Hovland YouTube video? How many strokes would you need? 1 a hole at least, right? So, I mean, if we played a course, if we played the par 72, you know, he's not always going to shoot under par. He probably is. But if he shoots a 68, I probably need 20. I run the risk of him going just nuts low, though, obviously. And I get nervous and go. So, I mean, I think 20 is probably the number. I think we'd settle on 1 a hole. I don't know. I'd probably lose that more often than not. I probably need 20. Oh boy, talked all about these guys already, so I'm just skipping through. I'm like 40 minutes behind on questions. So, Rick, on the golfer profile page, can you explain the fantasy and betting green? Yeah, I mean, sure. So I think if you hover, it explains it, but if not, I'll do my best right now. So the green bars are how many fantasy points they scored. So if you hover, it says 133 for Scotty. The yellow line is their salary. So you can see how their salary has changed over time. You can see their points. And if you hover, you get what tournament it was and the specifics. Left to right is oldest to most recent. Can Tom Kim putt well enough for a top 20? Dakota, Tom Kim can putt well enough to win this golf tournament. Tom Kim's like one of the best putters on planet Earth, right? He lost 5 strokes putting at the Kapalua course. Who cares? Undulation out the ears. He's like one of the best putters on the PGA Tour. Yes, he can absolutely game. In on Akshay, I bet him, and like warm on Rye. A lot of repeat questions, which is good. Please don't repeat the question. Norman was the Looney Tune. Good job, James. Regarding FanDuel, I'm stuck in Oregon. I'm stuck with them in Oregon ever since DraftKings took over, blah, 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 blah. Okay, yes. Well, yeah, I agree. I'm obviously in favor of competition, obviously. Don't repeat questions. It just gobbles up the chat. I'm going to get to them eventually. There were a lot of questions about Pendrith that I kind of just skipped over because I thought I'd made my point on Pendrith throughout the week. I think Pendrith is super high upside. He is a good enough wedge player. He has turned into a really good putter after this kind of stretch here in the summer. I'm in. 3rd at Shriners. He had a bunch of great starts in the fall, and he continued that to Sony. Pendrith, I mean, I left a spot open on my card. I'm actually going to write this down. I left a spot open on my card. I'd have to go look at what Pendrith's odds are at the moment. He might be the guy that finishes it off. I think I just talked myself into him. Futures. Let's click. What do we think Pendrith's odds are at the moment? He is 110 to 1. Okay, I'm just going to click that one right now and put it in before I forget. Okay, there we go. I'm in. Okay. Answered a lot of these. Let's see. What? I answered that. Rick Run Live. That's right. Call it the tournament tracker. I'm not sure if I'm accepting new names. I'm mostly just, oh boy. I'm mostly just looking at one of 2. Isn't Scheffler's price still way too cheap? Okay. This is something, Ted, that I've kind of thought, and I'm sure I've mentioned this a bunch of times. DraftKings does not usually reflect the odds board enough for really big favorites. And they rarely, if ever, will get to $12,000. I think it's probably just for, they want people to make lineups. They don't really care. They're getting their 15% or like they're looking for the user experience. So I agree with you that Scotty Scheffler for the past 2 years should probably have been way more expensive than he actually is. So yeah, that's really all I'm going to say about that. Going to stream a draft today? Yes, at the end of the show, which when I get to the end of these questions, which I'm about 20 minutes behind, but I will move faster than that. Especially because a lot of these are just like, hey, can you do a deep dive on like this random golfer or somebody that I've already talked about? Do you think the Torrey field gets squeezed due to being sandwiched between Pebble, WM, and Riv? Good question. I don't know. I hope not. It's such a good event. I think it'll be popular enough, but that's a good call. I hadn't considered it. Maybe guys just play Pebble, one of Riv or Phoenix, and then, or excuse me, Torrey and Phoenix, and then Riv, because neither Torrey or now Phoenix is a SIG. So maybe just one of those. So maybe it does get squeezed a little bit. Will you be updating your best ball rankings? Yeah, maybe. Right. We'll see if there's any big changes in ADP. I want you, like, I also think it's not particularly great for us to all be using like the same rankings. So I want you to make your own, like use mine as a baseline and then kind of work with it. I thought I did show the office football pool stuff. If I didn't show it, here it is. This is projected one and done. Sung Jae at 18.5. Poston at 17. Those two far and away the most popular. Tom Kim at 8. Chris Kirk at 6. Cantlay at 6. Cole and Xander at 5. Okay. Good luck. Can you please show me the best putters in this field and how you got that info on Rick Run Good? Okay, there's countless ways to do it. You could go through, you could go to the custom model and put all your weights on putting, or you could go to the Holy Grail and just make sure you have this field checked. Do any time frame that you want and sort by putting. Montgomery, Hisatsune, Harry Hall, Alex Noren, Matt Pavan are the guys with the big sample sizes. If you go to the power rankings, you can go to strokes gained and just look at a specific time frame. So if you said, hey, just give me last 36 rounds for everybody in this field, and I only want the PGA Tour data, and I want to sort by putting, when this loads, you'll find out the answer is Ben Griffin, JT Poston, Dylan Wu, Harry Hall, Taylor Montgomery. So a lot of different ways to do it. Good luck. That's pretty funny. It's different for everyone, which is, I believe, the answer to this question, Tyler. But if you're making 7 lineups, how would you decide which golfers to play in which lineups? Yeah, you're right. There really is no correlation or stacking. I just would do it by guys that I'm, I want to get more exposure to, or you're right. There really is no good answer to that. Is there a min ownership option? No, but let me show you this little trick, because this is, so min ownership on the custom model is next, right? So I've got a list of things I need to do next, but what I would encourage you to do, and people, some users do this and it works out well. What you can do is you can change the max ownership for every single golfer, right? So if you said, listen, I want the max to be 50, but I want Scotty Scheffler in 80% of my, or actually let's do somebody with like a low value. Like I want Jason Day in 80% of my lineups, and he's not coming in. 80 would be a lot, obviously. What you could do is then manually change his value to something outrageous. Change it to like 999, because that's going to tell the model like, wow, this guy is he's such a good play. It's going to force him into 80% of my lineups, right? So you can see as this is building, I'm getting a ton of Jason Day. It's going to go up to 80%. I understand that that's not the same thing as a minimum. And this kind of opens up a couple of other things, but if you're looking for like a quick down and dirty way to do it, that is a good way. I know some people have success with that. And then I will get a minimum ownership in there. Okay. We're almost ready to do drafts and talk about Underdog, but let me just make sure. Yeah. Let me just make sure I haven't missed any really good, valuable questions. Okay. I agree. So it says, did you get a new camera setup or lighting? Your stream looks brighter. I agree. No. So when we turned this on, I thought it looked brighter, and we actually adjusted. We made there's 2 lights here. we made them warmer. I agree it looks different. We didn't change anything. So maybe the lights like, I don't know, reset or something, but I agree it looks different. I think it looks good, right? Looks a little brighter. It looks good. You know what? I got to get back into the Rainmakers. I was kind of annoyed that those cards like don't carry over. I know you can like remint them or what. I just, whatever. I got to get back into it. Okay. I think.
Do you want to do the results of the poll?
Oh, do you have the results of the poll? Okay. The results of the poll, what were the three options?
Live leaderboard.
Live leaderboard.
Event center. And tournament tracker, which was a suggestion from someone in the chat that I thought was a great idea, and people do agree.
Is that what won?
No.
Oh, okay. What won?
49% of people voted for live leaderboard.
49% like the name live leaderboard.
41% tournament tracker.
What? Tournament tracker, okay.
I like tournament tracker.
Well, so that leaves
9% liked event center.
Oh, crap. Okay.
I like it, tournament tracker, because it sounds like shot tracker, and I think it's a little more descriptive than live leaderboard.
In Pool Genius, okay, well, thank you. Keep those results. We'll have to look into that. Can you edit the pool information with the actual? Can you edit the pool information with actual pool entries, like with what you put in? Because that's coming. So the way that we did this in the off season, obviously it was a very short off season. So we called pool. I shouldn't say they did all the work. I just consulted on it. They called like the first version, like it's not even V1. It's like V.00001. There's a lot more stuff coming. So what you will be able to do is tell it who you picked already so that it'll remove those guys for you. I think that's what you're getting at. This is constantly improving, like literally every day, I feel like. So just give it go do the free trial. If you don't like it, just cancel or whatever. There's a link in the description. It'll be all good. Okay. Shout out my main dog, Oliver. He's right here. He's snuggled up. All right. I think we have reached the end of the questions that are of, I kind of agree with this too. I don't know. Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We are now going to transition to the underdog portion of the show. That's an insane thing to do, right? Okay. So a couple of items. Underdog has the pick 'em out, obviously. Okay. So real quick, I did tweet out an entry that I liked. Okay. So it was Xander. Let's see. Xander higher than 5.5 birdies. Akshay lower than 67.5 points. Finau higher than 67.5 strokes. Wyndham Clark lower than 5 birdies. It looks like this. Okay. And I wrote out why I like that. Okay. So those are available to you. You don't have to run out all 4 in the same. You can split that up any way you want, or you can fade them. What we are also going to do is go look at the best ball drafts. So best ball starts on the Phoenix Open and runs into the Open Championship. So here it is, best ball. It's already over halfway full for the $10 one. Let's get in a draft here. We're going to do 30 seconds per draft. And as this fills, remember, oh, come on. Hold on a second. Detect my location. Detect me. Hold on. Sometimes I have to refresh. I hope this works. That would be very anticlimactic if this didn't work. Detect me. There we go. Okay. All right. So we're in. We're waiting on 2 more spots. So Armina can put up the information at the bottom. So the code is Rick. There is a link in the description. You can get a $100 deposit match. There you go. You can just leave that up there. This is best ball. Oh, and we're off and running. All right, here we go. We're on the turn. We have 6 and 7. I have already loaded in my rankings here. These are my rankings. You can go get them from my best ball video. There's probably a link in the description, or go watch the best ball video. You can download them and upload them into Underdog so that you have them in here. Now, I've done a lot of drafts already, so I'm going to divert a little bit from my rankings. I'm going to try to get more Jordan Spieth. I'm going to try to get more Sungjae Im. I will probably let Eric Cole fall a little bit. I do also have let me pull up that, my projections here. Where would my projections be or my rankings be? Here we go. All right. So here are my rankings. Okay. So this spreadsheet is available in that best ball video. You can go check this out. I have tried to project how many starts all these guys are going to get. So it's all of that is worked into these rankings here. And I believe that that's kind of the biggest edge that you can have is, getting the schedule correct, because there are 5 rounds. So you have to advance out of each round. First round, you're in with 6 other people. If you're top 2, you move on. And then the group sizes change a little bit, but that's how it works. Scotty Scheffler goes 1, Victor goes 2. That's happening a lot. I'm not getting a lot of Victor because of that. I think I have him at 5th. I should probably, when I have the second or third pick, if I have the second pick, I'm almost moving forward. I'm probably going to just have to take Hovland. All right. So we're at the turn, and this was probably the worst run out we could have gotten. We don't have anybody. So those are the 5 right there. We don't have anybody who fell to us. Eric Cole and Terrell Hatton are a decent step behind the big 5. That was a really crappy run out for us. We're going to divert a little bit from the rankings and take Morikawa and Homa. That is not a combination that we have yet. That was the worst run out for the 6th spot, in my opinion. Okay. Also, I've got to be a little nervous because my jammy is watching, and he is picking before us. So I will be a little bit nervous. That was a bad run out. So the way that I have this ranking system, I've got this score here for everybody. By far, Scotty Scheffler is the best player to pick. Then the next 4 are basically all in the 8s, which is great. Then there's that drop off to these guys at 6 through 10. So that is that was a pretty bad run out. So after that, Cole did go. All right, so it's coming back to us. We're going to have 18 or 19. I don't want to say it because I know the guy who's picking in front of us is sitting there. I'll reveal it in a second, but there is somebody that I would love to get here. There are 2 guys to turn that I think would be ideal, that I think are possible. They are both still there, which is nice. If we can get one of them. Okay, it was Fleetwood. Fleetwood was one of them. That's somebody who I would have liked, and Tom Kim was the other. So those were the 2 that I would have liked. This has been a pretty sour run out for us. We're left now with Wyndham Clark, who I have that's a lot of risk. Not a lot of super high upside guys. I'm going to take Benny on, who is a point churner. And if he putts well, oh boy. All right. So we are loaded here. I don't think I'm going to get the team that I want here. Couple guys in the draft. So I'm probably gonna have to reach more than I would like. I'm going to take Sahith here. This is a team. So we are already at Colin, Homa, Benyon, Sahith. I guess it's not terrible, but this is definitely unlike any team I've drafted to this point, which I guess is good. I'm very much out of my comfort zone for the rankings. The other thing is, there is a balance here. I have Justin Rose ranked very high, 21st, compared to his ADP, which is 38th. So I don't really want to be drafting Justin Rose at 21 because I am giving up value there. But I do want to take him before 38 because I am higher on him than ADP. So there is a little bit of a balance, which is actually why what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this. I'm going to share my entire screen so that we can see both of these at the same time. There we go. Okay. So, obviously everybody can see my rankings. So I'm going to try to just diverge a little bit. We're in 28 and 29 coming up. I do see a couple of interesting names in those spots. It was not Ricky Fowler, so we are safe there. I already talked about Justin. So this is a good example. Like, would I take Rose at 30 and 31? I have him at 21st. His ADP is 38. Like, probably I should. I probably should take J Rose in one of these slots. We're drafting 10 golfers, 6 starters every week that are automatically chosen for you. You don't have to set lineups. You don't redraft. You don't do anything like that. It just picks it for you. We'll see if, okay, Jamie takes Connors, which was another one. So I'm going to have to take Rose here. He's projected well ahead of that number, and we're not going to get a chance to get him back on the ADP. The other one that I thought was interesting was Chris Kirk. So I have Kirk at 27. This is pick 31, and his ADP is 32. So that's like a perfect reach, right? Me getting somebody earlier than I have him, or later than I have him ranked, and basically right at his ADP, somebody that is in a lot of the he's going to be in a lot of the events now because of the win. So that is to me a very valuable pick and a smart one. What I will probably also do, and if anybody has access to this, let me know. I can probably get it, but if somebody has it handy, if someone has like a CSV of the ADPs, I'll add them to this sheet so that we can compare the gaps between ADP and our ranks or your ranks. And then we can kind of see what those most leverageable selections are. So I will do that if I have time, but if somebody already has it downloaded or something, email it to me and I will be able to update that a lot faster. Hostler goes at 37. I think that's pretty good. I had him at 35. Straka, I would love to get more Straka. I need to get more Spieth. I absolutely need to get more Spieth. So we're coming up on 42 and 43, which is kind of this section of my rankings. All these guys' ADPs are already passed, basically. So we are pretty much reaching on anybody at this point. Hadwin just went. That was a great pick. Akshay went. That was a good pick. I've been avoiding Adam Scott. So I think the play here is you take Shank, who is in everything. And the play is to take probably a high upside like Taylor Moore. Something like that. I think that he is... I love his game. You know, we were on the practice range next to him at the PGA Championship, and I loved the preparation. I love his game. He has a win already, so we know he's got the upside. You do have to kind of, I wish the rosters were bigger. You know, what I would love to do is I'd love to have 2 very different types of players, point churners that I know are going to play a lot, and then like these high upside guys for like later in the season or might snap off and win once, but they might miss a couple of cuts. I don't think 10 roster spots and having to start 6 every single week is really enough for that, in my opinion. So it is a little awkward trying to get the right mix of players, I've noticed, or at least it's been tough for me. Maybe you guys aren't having the same issue. I would also like to start getting guys that aren't even being drafted. You know, their ADPs are like 60 or beyond, because there's so much opportunity, especially some of the Euro guys in round 5. Round 5 has both the Scottish Open and the Open Championship. And if you're at that point, to be able to get like 6 guys that are even playing is going to be so incredibly valuable. I do have two targets here, or at least I have one target, and then I'll probably take a flyer. Let's see, because these are my last 2 picks here. These are my last 2 picks of the draft. I'm going to round out my team before anybody else does. I'm going to take 54 and 55. I have one guy measured up, and I've got another that I'm going... Okay, so we're going to get them both here. So Ben Griffin, that would be your point churner. And then Norin, who I think is just very good, who plays a lot and might give me a little European flair when we get to the round 5 Open Championship, Scottish Open type stuff. Okay. So this team complete now. Colin, Max, Benyon, Sahith, Rose, Kirk, Shank, Moore, Griffin, Norin. Definitely unlike any team I've drafted to this point, which is interesting, which is fun, but I'm not sure I love them. I'm not sure I love that run out. We'll see. So go check out the link in the description. Go sign up, start drafting. I think these are going to fill faster than we think. Season-long best ball is awesome. I'm sure I'll see you in a lot of these drafts. There's different price points. Go check it out. I'm stoked for it. Underdog did a great job getting this to market for this year. I'm proud of them for being able to do that. $100 deposit match for code Rick. Link is in the description. A couple of questions that popped up while that was happening. I agree. We do need bigger rosters. Hey, Rick, any info on if Jock Market is going to run any more PGA markets? As far as I'm aware, Jock Market no longer exists. I know that they are still running, and I believe they're still running NFL markets, which I do not agree with that, because as far as I'm concerned, I think they are just running it. There's no customer support. I've had employees reach out to me that say they've all been let go. I don't know what is going on. The fact that site is still up and they haven't made an announcement, at least that I have seen, is shocking. They've not returned my emails. I think it's BS. So I would say, no, you're not going to get anything from Jock Market in the foreseeable future. Okay. Just final thoughts here. It's going to be fun. Don't get too out of whack about whether or not your golfer is having a good week or a good start because of the different courses. Go sign up for rickrungood.com. You'll get the great new custom model, the new golfer profiles, I think we might go with live leaderboard. I think that might be the name. I'm always trying to make as many improvements as possible, and I appreciate your guys' support along the way. I think that is going to do it. I will see you guys later. Thanks.